Okay. All right. So this is the first paper. This is the paper code and everything. And here is the question. So let's talk about it. Now, I suppose that we are good with this, but still for the sake of completeness, we will do this question. Okay. It says solve the equation 2 cos x plus 3 sin x equals 0. So I've been asked to solve a trigonometric equation. I need to find the value of x. That is fine. First of all, I need to make sure that this way or the other, I need to get rid of a variety of trigonometric functions in my question. I have sine, I have cos. I don't want these my trigonometric functions. I just want one trigonometric function. And I can do that by taking this entire thing on the other side. So what I am going to do is I'll just take this entire part 2 cos x on the right hand side, and I am going to get 3 sin x equals to minus 2 cos x. Okay, so this was 2 cos x here. When I will take it on the right side, this would become minus 2 cos x. And now at this point, what I can do is I can just take this cos over here on this side, and this is going to give me sin x by cos x, and here I have minus 2, and I will just take this 3 on the other side. And finally, again through my helping identities, this is something I'm referring time and again. Okay, so let's just talk about these. Those who are new would not be able to understand the short forms. Okay, identities. So we know that tan x is basically equal to sin x by cos x. So I can write sin by cos as tan of x equals minus 2 by 3. Okay, so what used to be the next step? Tan is negative, so I need to talk about the quadrants here at this point. We have 4 quadrants. Add sugar to cups. All of them are greater than 0. Tan is negative. Tan cannot be negative in the first quadrant because all of them are positive. Tan can be negative in the second quadrant because the second quadrant only sign is positive. And tan is negative in the fourth quadrant because in the fourth quadrant only cos is positive, right? So whatever it is, step 1 is to find the basic angle, right? So this is my alpha. Okay, yes. Please use your calculators and tell me whatever you're getting, and make sure that your answer and your calculator should be in degrees mode. Okay, I'll just get my calculator. Meanwhile, you guys can do your calculations. Give me 1 minute only. Okay, yes, I'm back. So it is tan inverse. Now it is tan inverse minus 2 by 3, right? So this is what we discussed in the class. You can also use the negative value, but if you will use the negative value, you would get a different answer, and then you would have to find alpha by doing another step. So the good step would be just like Rafi said, just ignore this negative and then find the value of tan, right? Because alpha is same in all the quadrants. So tan 2 by 3 is basically going to give you 33.69 degrees. So this is 33.69 degrees. Okay, now one thing that you guys can notice, I know that my final answer has to be up to 3 significant figures. So while calculating stuff, I'll make sure that my calculations are up to 4 significant figures, okay? Because if I start rounding off things in the beginning, at the end, I might get a different answer, right? So it's a good practice to keep 4 significant figures during calculations and then just write it down up to 5 significant figures. Okay. So in the second quadrant, this is the line. Again, this is alpha. Alpha is same 33.69. And how do I measure angle in second quadrant? So I'll start from this point all the way from here to here. So it is going to be sum of angles on a straight line is 180 minus alpha, that is same 33.69 degrees, and this is going to give me 146.3 degrees. Okay, this is what I would get. Okay. And for the other one, for the fourth quadrant, this is going to be the line. This is alpha. Alpha is again same 33.69. Alpha is never changed. It's still the same. I'll start from here all the way from here to here. Now this could have been 360 degrees, but I do not have that alpha part. So I will do 360 minus alpha. Please do this calculation quickly and tell me the other theta we are getting quickly.
326.31.
Very good. Well done. Okay. So this is 326.3 and then 1. Yes, that is fine. 1 degrees. Okay. Acha. Now I have two things that I want to talk about at this point. X is finally 146.3 degrees. 146.3 degrees, and it is 326.3 degrees. Also, both the answers are lying in the range, so both would be considered correct. Okay. Another thing that is very important. Now, I just said that we will be giving the final answer correct to 3 significant figures, and then I wrote 4 significant figures. Yes, because when we talk about angles, for angles, it is advised to keep your working till 1 decimal place, right? Like if I have any decimal place, I'll make sure that I write my final angle up to 1 decimal place. Okay, that is important for angles. Okay. All right. So any confusions with this question? Motasam, Rafe,
No.
and Munja?
Yes.
Yes.
I just don't know how you got 33.69.
Okay, I'll tell you. So are you clear with this angle and the other one?
Yes, miss.
Okay. 33.69 was basically coming from this equation that I got after the initial working, right? So it was tan of x is equal to minus 2/3. I need to ignore this minus and I need to make x the subject, okay? So this would become tan of x equals 2/3, and x is going to be, I will take tan inverse on both sides, and this would become tan inverse 2 divided by 3. Next, you need to use your calculator now, okay? Make sure that you are able to see that small d on the calculator display. Just make sure, Motasam, are you able to see that small d?
Okay.
Okay.
No, miss.
Is it
I'm
R?
changing now.
Okay.
Yeah, miss.
Change it.
Miss, do I change it to the
Degree.
third one, D?
Yes, D.
Okay.
Degrees.
Okay.
Okay. Now press shift and then tan inverse.
Yeah, miss, I got the answer.
Yeah, okay, perfect. 2 divided by 3. So this is your basic angle, okay? This is how these trigonometric equations are. So this is what you would be having in the beginning. We will simplify to get one trigonometric function. This trigonometric function would be equal to some number. Just take inverse of the trigonometric function and find the basic angle, and then it depends upon the quadrants, and this is how we do it. Okay, this would get better in some time, don't worry. Okay, acha, let's talk about the next part. Okay, I was interested in this part because this is something we were talking about lately, and again the this question is same. It's the second part of the same question. Let me check that again. Yes, this is the paper details and everything, but I think that it is certainly the, yes, it is the second part of the same question. Okay, acha, this is the question. Okay, it says sketch on the same diagram the graphs of y equals 2 cos x and y equals minus 3 sin x. Let's pick up the first one. Let's make this, and then we will make the other one. Okay, so let me make an axis. This is my y-axis. Then this is my x-axis. And this is x-axis. And this is y-axis. Okay, so I'll use blue for 2 cos x and pink for minus 3 sin x, but we will talk about it later on. Okay, सबसे पहले तो let me just make the graph of simple cos x. Okay, this right here, or in fact this could be an issue if I've made the graph very, very big. This should be fine. This right here is basically the graph of, we don't know right now, let me add the labelings. Okay, -1. Okay, this is the graph of y equals cos x. Now I explained this thing in the last class as well. Whatever you have next to cos x, for now we have 1. If you have 1, the maximum point of the graph would be at 1, the minimum point of the graph would be at -1. If you have 2, the maximum point of the graph would be at 2, the minimum point of the graph is going to be on -2, right? So you can either think about it this way or imagine that you have y equals cos x. Now you have multiplied 2 to the situation. It is going to be a stretch in vertical direction, and all the y coordinates would be multiplied by 2. That is it. This is how I can explain this, right? I've multiplied 2. When we are multiplying 2 with the entire function, it is a stretch along the y-axis. And if you want to just know, okay, what exactly happens when I say this, so basically every y coordinate would be multiplied by 2, right? So this is my graph. Let's say this is 2. Please keep your mic muted. Somebody's mic is not muted. Okay, I'll start
sorry.
from here. Yeah, no, it's okay. I'll start from here and I am going to go back till here. Okay, this is basically my graph for 2 cos x. Now you guys are not supposed to make the blue graph and then think about it this way and just spend this much time. No, I did that just so I could explain the concept, right? The blue graph is the one that we know. It has maximum point 1, it has minimum point -1. What would happen, because I was not supposed to make the graph of y equals cos x, right? I was supposed to make the graph of y equals 2 cos x. So when I will be multiplying 2 with cos x, every y coordinate would be multiplied by 2, and it would be a genuine stretch with a stretch factor of 2. And this point is going to be -2. So once you have this, you can just erase this part because you were never asked to make this graph. And even I can remake this because the examiner does not know if I am making it directly or if I am doing it that way. Okay, because there's no grid over here. I'm making it on my own. So I'll just make a random nice clean graph and I'll just say that this point is 2. And then this point right here is basically -2. It looks like it's a bit above. This point right here is -2, right? Any confusions with this part?
No, miss.
Miss, miss, like if the 2 is like 2 centimeters above the x-axis, then the -2 should also be like 2 centimeters below the x-axis.
1 second. Yeah. 1 second. You're saying it should be like more equal? Is this what you're saying?
Yes, miss. Like
Yeah,
if
I
it is 2
understand.
centimeters above,
Yes,
and
yes,
then 2
yes. It
centimeters below.
it has to be like that. It has to be like that. But this is, since I've made the 2 and minus 2, it's fine, right? You're correct. It has to be 2 centimeters above and 2 centimeters below technically. But since we are making it by with our hands, so it could be. And obviously, you guys would be using your scales, right? I'm just doing it over here like this. So that is why it doesn't look perfect. But you are 100% correct. It has to be 2 centimeters above and 2 centimeters below. Okay, that is right.
Okay, miss.
That is right. Let me make this again because now I'm more conscious. So something of this type. Okay, I was never good at drawing, that is why. But yeah, yes, you're certainly correct. It has to be same. And I forgot one thing, angles. This one is 360 degrees, half is 180. This is 90. This one is 270. Okay, this is how the graph would be, and this is 0. And this is the graph of y equals 2 cos x. Okay, now I'll make this graph separately first, and then I'll add it over there because I need to explain something. Okay, can you guys give it a try? How would be the graph of y equals minus 3 sine x? I'll just tell
Okay.
you, okay, this is the graph of sine. Okay, I'm just making that for you guys. This is the graph of sine. This point is 1. The minimum point is -1. And this is just y equals sine of x. But you have -3. So minus will cause reflection and 3 would change the magnitude. Okay. 3 would make it stretch along y-axis. Obviously, I'm helping you guys because it's the first time. Please give it a try. And whatever you make, just send that on WhatsApp quickly in 2 minutes. Okay. I would not mind wrong answers because this is the first time we're doing any question about it. Take 2 minutes and send your workings on WhatsApp quickly, please.
Miss, we are meant to like draw it on the same diagram, right? Same
Yes,
graph.
yes. We are. I will make it again on this one. Yes, certainly. I will make it on this one. I'm just making it for you guys. But if you can make it on the same graph, that is perfect. Just try sending your answers, okay? That's even better than this. Yes, Motasam and Munja, all of you can do it. Please send me your attempts on WhatsApp. I would not mind a wrong answer. You are only supposed to make the graph of y equals -3 sine x, okay? I've made the graph of y equals sine x. Just make the graph of y equals -3 into sine x. Quickly. A few more seconds left. Acha, okay. Just stop right now. Just stop right now and look at this. Okay, it's fine. I am pretty sure you guys would have tried it. Now let's see where exactly you guys went wrong, where exactly you guys were stuck. Okay, this is what I have. Y equals sine x. I need to make the graph for y equals minus 3 sine of x minus 3. So this minus would cause reflection. So what I can do is I can just make the graph of y equals minus sine x. And this is how the graph would look like. Okay, this is only for y equals minus sine x. Minus would make the graph reflect where? In the x-axis. Okay, minus, what exactly was minus doing? Whenever minus was being multiplied with the entire function, that was basically causing a reflection along the x-axis. So this is y equals minus sine x. Now I need to have this. I need to think about it that when I will multiply this, y equals minus sine x by 3. Now 3 is being multiplied with the entire function. So that is going to be a stretch along y-axis. So what would happen? I need to erase this, this, and even this as well because I need more space. This is 1. It won't look like this, but let me just extend my axis a bit. Okay, just imagine that this part is minus 3. Okay, just because I'm saying this, it's minus 3. And this part is positive 3. Now when I will make the graph again, my x-intercepts are not going to change. And this is how my graph would look like, right? So the red graph is basically for y equals minus sine x, and the blue graph is for y equals minus 3 sine x. Okay, this 3 has caused stretched along the y-axis, and both the graphs, just imagine that I've just picked the red graph and I've pulled it 3 units more, and this is what I would get. Okay, so I need to make this entire thing over there, but before that, let me just add units because I would be able to make it properly only if I would have these units with these thetas or x coordinates with me. This is 180, 270, and 90. Okay, so this is what I need to make on the other graph. That is 0, minus 2. This is going to be minus 3, and this is going to be 3, and the examiner would probably give you some separate graphing paper or grid to make the graph. Okay, but we'll have to see that. Okay, acha, and now my graph is starting from this point. This is how exactly my graph looks like. Okay, so now I'm going to erase this and let's just discuss the entire thing over here. Okay, for the first part, it was just y equals 2 cos x. I know that for 2 cos x, I'm only supposed to change the maximum and minimum points of the graph. That would become 2 and minus 2. If it was 3 sine x, I would have done the same thing, but it is minus 3 sine x. So because of this minus sign, I need to find the reflection as well. And this is what I would get. Yes. Any confusions with this, please tell me quickly, those who were not able to understand this part. Whatever the confusions are, just ask me right now.
No, miss, everything's clear.
Okay, Motisam and Mundia, your turn. What are your questions? Please ask me.
No, ma'am, I had the same graph. I'm okay.
Okay, and what about you, Motisam? Yes, Motisam, anything that you would like to ask at this point? Okay. All right, now it says, use your answers to part 1 and 2 to find the set of values of x for 0 to 360 degrees, for which this is greater than 0. Okay. So we need to use the first two parts. Okay. You can also do it directly, but we need to use the first two parts. And when you will do this, for the first part, we got x equals 146.3 and 326.3. Okay. One question, students. Can anyone tell me the coordinates of this point? By looking at the first part and then this point?
Sorry, ma'am, what did you say?
Yes, my question is, can anyone tell me the coordinates of this point and this point, not by making guesses, but by looking at your solution for the previous part? What was the question in the previous part? The question,
0,
yeah, the equation was 2 cos x plus 3 sin x equals 0, right? This was basically the question. So when would you get this equation? You would get this equation when you will equate both these y's. When you will equate this y and this y, you are going to get the same thing. So this means that since we got 146.3 for the previous part, this is going to be 146.3. I'm just writing 146 for now. And this is going to be 326.3, right? This is what we got for the previous parts. I'll repeat it again, okay? This was my equation for the previous part that I solved. And I got 146 and 326 as the roots or as the solution of the equation. When would I get this equation? When I will equate these two equations, right? So this should make sense that the second part and the first parts are linked. Okay. Now, what is the question? The question was, use your answers to part I and find the set of values of x for which x is between 0 and 360 degrees, for which this inequality is satisfied. This part is basically greater than 0, right? This thing is greater than 0. Okay. All right. Okay. So these are the 2 points that I got. Okay. Acha. This is basically 326 and that part. I got 2 cos x plus 3 sin x equals 0. This is what I had in the previous part. And I got 146.3 degrees and 326.3 degrees. And by looking at the graph, I was able to see that these are basically the points at which 2 cos x and minus 3 sin x are basically going to cut the graph, right? So these were 2 cutting points. Now, I need to solve this inequality. The inequality says 2 cos x plus 3 sin x is greater than 0. So when I simplified the entire thing, I got tan x was basically equal to minus 2 by 3. When I will simplify this part, this is 3 sin x greater than minus 2 cos x, and this would become tan x is greater than minus 2 by 3. This is my inequality that I am getting for the third part. Okay. So can you guys tell me that what exactly is going to be the answer? This is basically going to help you, right? These 2 points are basically the points at which my graph is intersecting. But we need to have the points where this entire thing is greater than 0. Yes, can anyone think about it? Just look at the graph and tell me logically. Just think about it that way. You're just supposed to use logic. The equation is written right in front of you, okay? This time around, we have this inequality. This entire thing is basically greater than 0. Let me write it down that way. This is greater than 0. When would this be greater than 0? Yes. It is 2 cos x plus 3 sin x, okay? And over here, I have the two graphs for 2 cos x and minus 3 sin x. So don't you think that it is going to be greater than 0 for this part? Let me make a line. For this interval from 146 to 326.
Miss, but it is also greater before that, like from 0 to 90.
Yes, that is also greater from 0 to 90, but that is only the red part of the graph, okay? The blue graph is below. What you need to do is just think about it this way, that how up is the red graph and how below is the blue graph. Are you getting this thing? Like if I will just add this two thing, when I will add this, let's say I pick this coordinate and I pick this coordinate, when I'm going to add the two coordinates, overall my answer is going to be negative. This is how we decide. Also, this is not y equals minus 3 sin x. This is positive 3 sin x, okay? So for this, what you can do is, if you guys are not able to understand it this way, it could be, right? What you can do is, wait 1 second, I'll tell you. This is what we got. Tan is basically greater than minus 2 by 3, okay? So if I talk about the quadrants at this point, what I got from the quadrants, the previous part, tan was negative. So this was the line and this was the line, okay? This was 146.3 degrees. And then this was 326.3 degrees. These were the two angles that we got for tan of x equals minus 2 by 3. Okay, this is what we had over here. And now if I say that this is the situation that tan x is greater than minus 2 by 3. So if you think about it as a basic or as a general inequality that we have already been dealing with in O levels, and even in the functions chapter where we discussed linear and quadratic inequalities. So you guys would be able to see that this basically refers to this part basically. X has to be less than 146.3 degrees and x has to be greater than 326.3 degrees. I said it other way around. I said it other way around.
Yeah.
Like this part is basically the part where it is not less than that. It is basically tan of x is less than -2/3, and the question was that where exactly is tan of x greater than -2/3. So for that we will be talking about this part where x is less than 146 and where x is greater than 326.3. This part basically, this is where it went wrong, not this part. X has to be less than 146.3. Let me just make the line again. It's basically this part, okay, and then it is this part. Yes, just let me just double check it because there was a mistake. This is correct. Yes, I'm just checking it with the marking scheme. This is correct. This is correct. Okay. Acha, now just look at it once again. Okay. We were able to solve the first part. We were able to do the second part, like we were able to make the graphs. For the third part, he said, use your answers to part 1 and part 2 and find the set of values for x that is between 0 and 360 degrees, and the inequality was 2 cos x plus 3 sin x. Okay. Now we use the first part to find out that x was basically 146.3 and 326.3 were for this condition. And when are we going to come across this condition? When we will equate this and this. Are you guys clear till this part that where exactly the two parts are being linked? Yes, Rafe,
Yes, ma'am.
Mudassam and Munja, are you guys clear with this part only, that how exactly I got this thing, from where exactly I'm linking the two parts? I will be equating y and y,
Yes, ma'am.
and this would give me, look at this, 2 cos x equals -3 sin x, and when I will equate them, I can simplify it, and this is going to give me this. Okay, this is what I had in the first part, and that is why using the first part I was able to write down these points of intersections, that is 146.3 and 326.3. These are basically the two points of intersection. Okay, now what was the question? The question is, use your answers to part I to find the set of values for which 2 cos x plus 3 sin x is greater than 0. All right, let me use yellow color to explain this thing. This is basically the part of graph that is being made after 326. And this is the part of graph that is being made after 326 for the other graph. Similarly, this is the one, and this is the one. Okay, acha. Now the graphs that I've just made yellow are basically those parts of the graph that you need to focus on. Okay, where exactly we went wrong in the beginning was that Both these graphs are basically for y equals 2 cos x, that is fine, and y equals minus 3 sin x, okay? These two graphs are basically for 2 cos x and minus 3 sin x, but the two things I'm adding over here are basically 2 cos x and 3 sin x, okay? So I am not supposed to think about this minus 3 sin x graph at this point in order to satisfy this inequality, only for the sake of inequality. I agree, when I will equate the both things, this is where I would get this part. You can just think about the graph of 3 sin x and then do it, or what you can do is, if you don't want to make too many graphs, it's 2 cos x greater than minus 3 sin x. Just focus on this part. I've made this thing out of the previous inequality, and what exactly does it say? 2 cos x is greater than minus 3 sin x. Just focus on those points of the graph where cos graph is above the sine graph, okay? So it is the first point, it is the first part that I've made, this part exactly. And this part exactly. Right? I got 2 cos x greater than minus 3 sin x once I just took this 3 sin x on the other side. And following this inequality, I can see that I only have two parts of the graph where I can see this inequality holding, and the two parts are basically when my x is less than 146 and when my x is greater than 326. Now tell me if anyone was not able to understand this. I can certainly explain this again.
I understand it now, ma'am. I was confused a little bit, but now I understand.
Yes, even I got confused because of this the signs, but yes, now it is clear, and the marking scheme has the same answer. I've checked that. Okay. And what about you, Motasam and Rafe?
Yes, Miss, everything's clear.
Miss, I'm just confused about the part where x is less than 146.
Okay,
Why? Because like, isn't it, Miss, the reason why you picked, shouldn't we like pick the part where it intersects, or like before the?
Yes, that is right. The parts were exactly they're intersecting. We would have picked these two parts if the question was about solving the inequality, solving the equation. Like here, we did not have equal to sign. Here we have this inequality, okay? 2 cos x plus 3 sin x is greater than 0. So when I will rewrite it, I would get this inequality. 2 cos x is greater than minus 3 sin x, okay? Now this is the graph of 2 cos x, and this is the graph of minus 3 sin x. I'm only supposed to refer to those parts of the graph where cos x is above than sine, okay? So it is basically the first part from here to here, this part, and then from 326 to 360 degrees. These are the two parts. That is why I wrote x is less than 146.3 degrees and x is greater than 326.3 degrees, and this is going to be the final answer, right?
Yes, miss. Okay, understood. Thank you, miss.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, okay. So that is it. Yes.
Miss?
Yes.
Miss, why are we writing it in the form of like x? Because, okay. Miss, you're referring to x-axis?
Yes, because do you remember those quadratic inequalities that we used to solve? Let's say if you have x squared plus 2x plus 3 less than 0, the variable used to be x, right? That is why. Even over here, the variable is x. That is why, okay? If you have been asked to solve any equation.
Miss, can we use theta?
Instead of writing down x, like you want to write down theta is less than 146 and that?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, that should technically be correct, but the fact that they have x here, so it would be better that you go with x, right? Theta is also correct. Like both of them are thetas. Like theta is angle, x is also angle. But I get your point. Even I was used to writing theta every time. But just for the sake of completeness, I think good thing would be that we write it down as x, because x is the variable, right?
Miss, can you show the answer? Okay. Just
Yeah.
wait a
Okay.
second.
Okay. Yeah. Which answer? This answer. Okay. Take your time. Take your time.
It's like, aren't we like supposed to do like x is less than 146.3 degrees, but it is greater than 0 degrees.
We would have done that. You are 100% correct. But this is only for this part, right? Like this condition was already there that x is between 0 and 360. You can certainly do that. That would not be incorrect. 100%. Go for it. That is right. You can certainly write it down this way. And then for this, 326.3, this and this. But I'll tell you the issue. The issue would be that it could be even if you even if you exceed 360, things are similar. That is one issue, but that is fine. That is irrelevant. The other thing is that this thing is already known that x is between 0 and 360 degrees. Even this was mentioned in the second part as well, right? This is also mentioned over here, right? So you would not suppose, like, you can write it down. That is not, that won't be incorrect. Yes, marking scheme has a different answer, but technically this would also be correct. But the only thing is that 0 and 360 is already given. Like x has to be between 0 and 360. So if you have this as an underlying condition, you can just give these two as your final answers. That would also be correct.
Okay, Miss, and Miss, like we wrote that x is less than 146 degrees. So can we write like x is less than and equal to 146 degrees?
When you will write x is less than and equal to, that would basically mean that both of them are basically equal, right? Both of them are basically equal, right? So we do not have this over here. We just have this. That is why I did not include 146. Okay, because of this
Okay, Miss, got it.
inequality. We only have inequality. Okay, any other question?
No, Miss.
All the students, please don't rush for leaving the class. If you have anything, you can ask me right now. Okay, all right. So this was the second part. We'll do this tomorrow. And yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, and then I'll see if we have any other thing left for trigonometry. So probably trigonometry would end tomorrow or day after tomorrow, right? Okay, let me stop the recording.